Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. Joining me today is a new director of swimming and diving at Northwestern University, Katie Robinson. Katie, how's it going?
It's going really well, Cole. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well also. I think like a lot of coaches, you've kind of gotten a lot of different experience at a lot of different places. And I was wanting to talk about, kind of your past, what path led you to where you are today. So let's start with your swimming career. How'd you end up at Texas for college?
Oh man, I grew up swimming in a tiny little town in Indiana and was coached by some amazing coaches. They were also English teachers, and they were great in allowing me to really self-motivate. Like they were there to support me, but I really was the driver of that, and in a way that really allowed me to grow in that self-motivation and own discipline. And so I was recruited by, Stanford, Cal, Texas, Florida, and Auburn. Those were my top five. And when I took a trip to Texas,
small schools.
Yeah, yeah. And I took a trip to Texas, and that was my first recruiting trip. And I was like, whoa, because it's your first one, right? And it was just so much on it. And I remember having a Longhorn sticker on my face for the football game, and then having a tattoo from the sun, like a little tan tattoo from the Longhorn, and then being excited about that. And so that was, I don't know, from the start, it just was a really impressive program. And I had coaches that really inspired me and believed in me. And I was, just really excited to become part of that program. So that's kind of how I ended up there.
Yeah, and that was, let me get this right. You were taking visits in the fall of 2002?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm guessing recruiting was, a bit different then. Now you hear about sophomores committing, taking unofficial trips. Juniors are now taking official visits, I think. Maybe definitely unofficial visits, but it's, via social media, I think schools get a lot more exposure. So you talked about how you were kind of wowed over because it was your first trip to Texas. What was your recruiting process like? What did you know going into some of these schools?
I had done a lot of research. I remember looking at their results from the past year, also looking at who was on all of their relays. Were they upperclassmen or was it underclassmen? Obviously having like a bias towards the teams that had more underclassmen on their relays, knowing that the team would continue to be strong when I had the chance to be part of that team. So I did a lot of that. And then, to be honest, I had no idea what I was getting into on recruiting trips. It was to be the red carpet rolled out for you. That was not like, my upbringing is a very humble experience. And so it was wild for me coming from such a small town and to get recruited by those big name schools. So it was quite the experience. And I don't think I was prepared in a way. Like I said, I was pretty like, whoa, off my first trip. And, but then, you get the hang of it, your second and third one, you're like, okay, I understand how this rolls. And you got to pace yourself because they take you out to such nice dinners. And I was just like, whoa, I can't keep eating like this every weekend.
Yeah. I feel like now you don't hear about as much that I think 10 years ago, you heard a lot more about seniors, like, their senior year kind of falling off a little bit because they had like a 6 to 8 week period where they were gone every weekend.
Yeah, it's different. I had mine. They weren't all back to back, but the last couple of them the last maybe 3 of them, I think were packed in. So yeah, it's a little bit strange.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I gotta, the first time I ever came to UT's campus, I was also wowed over, and now I live here. So I totally relate. So once you get to Austin, I think you swam for Jill Sturkle for 2 years, and then you had 3 years, and then you had a
Mm-hmm.
coaching change.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your experience like at Texas? And you're coming in as a new head coach, and the athletes already know you, but it's still kind of a change in scenery. What was that coaching change like for you?
Wow, that takes me back. First of all, I completely loved my experience at Texas. All 4 years were really just a great learning experience and growing experience. I think I'm so grateful for all my teammates that I've had, and I have such a warm place in my heart for each of them. And Jill was a big reason why I just decided to go to Texas. She was an impressive woman, and I have a great desire for women role models in my life. And she ticked that box really, really well for me. And so my first 3 years were great. I kept developing and kept getting faster. And she really helped me through some other challenging times. Just, in your college years, I feel like you're faced with a lot of different challenges and adversity in different ways. And she was really um, just inspired in me to be a better person through all of those challenges. And then, yeah, it came as a shock, to be honest, the coaching change. And we all were really big believers and loved having Jill as our coach. So that was really tough for us. And man, it was really tough. And I remembered that sense of uncertainty in when the administration was searching for a new head coach, and having all sorts of emotions around that. You're angry, you're scared, you're sad. Um, and going into my senior year, I was in this mindset of like, nothing's holding me back. I don't care who's the coach, in the sense of like, I've got goals to accomplish.
Hmm.
And my teammates were around me, and we really bonded together in that time, to be honest. Like, we became such a tight team, and my classmates specifically mean the world to me, as I mentioned. And when Kim was named our head coach and she came on, there was a lot of a little bit of hesitancy, I will say, from our team, and yet it was kind of like, you got to buy in or don't, And for us, I know that there's a lot of ways to help swimmers get faster, and what really has to happen, though, to get swimmers faster is they have to believe in their coach 100%. And so it was kind of like, get in and believe, or don't and get left behind. And I had too many big goals of my own to accomplish, and also with our team to accomplish. So we all bonded together, and we're like, we're in this together. And we had a great year that year. We got 6th overall at the NCAAs that year. And it was a really big learning and growing experience for me.
That that sounds very cool. Especially the bonding, the opportunity for you to say, listen, I'm going to do this no matter what. I spoke with Calypso Sheridan a month or two ago, and it seems like she kind of had at the time, I don't think you had been announced as head coach, and it seemed like she had a similar feeling of, I'm going to go back to Northwestern and finish off my senior year and really do it well. And that's very cool. So when did you decide that you were going to get into coaching then?
That I remember specifically. I remember going into Jill's office when I was a sophomore on the team, and I literally went through the whole gambit of like what I wanted to do with my life, from like being like on Broadway to like, to be, becoming a physical therapist, to a pharmacist was in the mix too. Like, I was like, I had no idea.
Being a
And
performer on Broadway?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. You don't know this, but I love to sing and dance.
I don't know that, but I think that's really important. We should probably discuss that further.
Yeah, so I came down to deciding it because I really was loving my anatomy and physiology classes, and studying about the body was really fascinating to me. And then, and thinking back again, Jill was so monumental in my development as a young woman. And I saw that, and I was like, I want to do that. that's exactly what I want to do. I want to help mold young, now men and women, and really motivate them and inspire them, and help them become their best version of themselves. And so I was really inspired by my coach to become a coach. And so I remember going into Jill's office and telling her, I want to become a coach just like you. And it sounds silly, but it was a really big moment for me. And I remember it very clearly.
Yeah, that sounds like a big moment, and that's okay. I have so many topics I want to cover. I'm excited to hear a lot of these answers based on that one. So, not first off, but so in 2008, you end up in Charlottesville under Mark Bernadino, if
Yeah,
I'm correct. Okay,
that's
you
right.
spent 3 years with Mark.
Hmm.
Tell me about that experience. I've met Mark. He was nothing like I thought he would be. Of the legends, I thought, I've heard like he's a drill sergeant. He's done he has a reputation. When I met him, and he was like the sweetest old man I've ever encountered, next to maybe like Jack Roach, and I was like, wow, like I love him. So, what was your experience like going to Charlottesville and working with Mark?
Yeah, it was. I mean, first of all, as a young coach, to have such a historied coach, super successful coach, to put some faith in me as a, what, 22, 23-year old, I just really respect him for having that faith in me way back then. And it was amazing to learn from somebody who had just been at it for so long, and to have like, I mean, gosh, at that point Virginia was winning the ACCs every single year. We were top 10 in the country at the NCAAs on both men and women's side, and it was just fascinating. I think, from an athlete to becoming a coach, there's a lot that you learn, and it was really an amazing experience to be part of that team of coaches at Virginia. And I just really respect them, and think very highly of what they have been able to do, and have continued on in doing as coaches too. It's been fun to stay in touch with Dino, and he's maybe mellowed in his older age. Maybe he can tell me otherwise. But I think he still gets fiery on deck in a fun way. Like, I've never seen anybody motivate the way that he. Like, we would be in dual meets. I remember this, and we would be down at one of the break points, and he would just like really lay into the team in a way that really allowed them to be like, yeah, we're tough. We're tougher than the way we've been acting so far in this swim
Mhm.
meet, and we're gonna go out and do better. And they would literally be a whole different team the second half. And it happened so many times. It was like amazing to watch him in action, and I learned a lot from that.
You bring up a good point. It's probably a different experience talking to him as a member of the media and a member of his swim team.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite memory or something that sticks out about your time at Virginia, whether it was a learning experience or just a favorite race that you were a part of? Something that stuck out to you during your time there.
Yeah. This is something maybe a little bit silly. There were so many accomplishments, and I don't want to downplay that, but this is something that I thought was really cool. Matt McLean was on the team, and he's very talented, extremely just a go-getter. Like, he stopped at nothing, and it was really amazing to watch him train and to watch him compete. And we were working on a drill one time, and it was one of those where you lay flat to start, and then you just go 100% right from the flat laying start, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just something fairly new back then. And so we were explaining what that was like, and I told him, I was like, Matt, just like, how like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, and the Roadrunner just like goes from nothing to like spinning his wheels really fast, and going. And he was like, yeah, okay. He's like, okay. And then he got it or whatever. And then after practice, he was like, thanks, Coach Katie. You like really got me to like, you're creative and explain that to me. You got me to like understand what you're trying to say. And it's just like, that's when I realized, like, it's not, in this whole, and we might get to this later in this conversation, but in coaching men versus women, I think it's all about just knowing who you're coaching. It's much more about the individuals, getting to know them, who they are, how to talk to them, how to motivate them, and then doing it. It's really simple. It's nothing really more than that. You just got to get to know the kids on your team.
Yeah. I hope we do get to that. Maybe in my next question. So I think in 2013 you're at Tulane. Is that right?
Yes.
As the head coach of the women's team.
Mm-hmm.
And you're there for 5 years. You know as your first head coaching job. Is that
Uh-huh.
right?
Yep.
So tell me about that. Your first head coaching job, and it's an all women's team compared to somewhere like Virginia where you're coaching men and women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got that job. I was 28 years old, and it was kind of like being thrown in, and you learn so much on the fly, in that kind of situation. And I had some really wonderful mentors in my life that I really relied heavily on during that, especially that transition in that first year. And oh my gosh, I love coaching women too. Like I'm so passionate about just coaching people, but like specifically getting to really dive in with working with women and building their confidence levels and helping them expand upon where they think they can be, and then getting them to believe bigger and dream bigger. That's been it was just such a cool experience, and those individuals on the team were amazing. Like they really taught me a lot about coaching, and I have such fond memories of coaching at Tulane in those 5 years. It was a really, really great experience.
Again, do you have a few memories
From there, yeah.
that shareable ones or learning moments you had as a coach?
Yeah. Let's think. Let's see, in 2016, we were competing. It was our second year in the American Athletic Conference. And it was a year where things were really starting to line up. We were really starting to get some traction with our team, and we had recruited really well for a few years. So we were moving pretty well, and we had an ability to, at the beginning of the season, we're like, okay, we can be top 3, which was good. And then as we got through the season, we were like ranked higher and higher. And I was just like, man, we have a shot at this. Like we have a shot to even win this whole thing. And getting the team to believe that. And they were really scared because there's fear of failure that's like rampant, in a lot of ways amongst this generation coming up and through college. And so just helping them to overcome that fear of failure and just to dream big and go for it regardless. It was quite the experience. And I remember it was the last day of the championships, and it was after the 200 breaststroke. We jumped into getting, we were first place at that point. And then we knew what was coming, because we didn't quite have the second part of that day as strong as Houston did. And so they ended up getting back up into that first spot, but we got second. And that was a great, great moment for our team, having come so far in the first like 3 years of me being a coach there. But yeah, it was a neat experience. The women on the team were so excited, and there's some wonderful memories from that.
Yeah. So I failed to mention, and we at SwimSwam are 100% completely biased towards 200 butterflyers, which you are one.
Yeah.
And that's and that's why I like you. So do you swam? What were your other best events besides 200 fly?
It's funny because I love the 100 fly most,
Mm-hmm.
but the 200 fly I had a love-hate relationship with that. I loved the badge of honor that comes with being a 200 flyer, but some of those practices I did not love. But that's why it's so cool to be good at. So, to swim that event is a real honor. But so I did that, and then I would do some freestyle events anywhere between. I tried for the 50. I was not good at that when it came to the college ranks. So then I shifted more to the 100 free, and 200 free. I did relays. In fact, my senior year, I was on all 5 relays and then did the 100 and 200 fly at NCAAs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So those were your events as a swimmer. How do you feel like your style of coaching evolved, and what events do you maybe prefer coaching? What events do you find you are successful at coaching, now?
Through my whole coaching experience, I think, gosh, I've really felt like I've gotten to work with all the different groups. Um, and so I really have a love for all of them. I think it's fun, it's challenging to come up with ways to be fast in all of them. I think at Tulane, I really got into the groove of more distance than I am and 200 of stroke. And then my time here at Northwestern, I've been, gosh, let's see, I've coached the middle group. I've coached the butterflyers. I've coached the sprinters in the morning sometimes. So I've kind of, in breaststroke, I worked with breaststroke group my first year at Northwestern a lot. So I don't know. I love it all. I think as far as where do I find have been successful, I think 200 of stroke is kind of my jam. I love pacing. I love right around the 2-minute mark where it's just like you really have to push through the pain of those races, and that high level of going for it and then just holding on with everything you got. My experience was a flyer and dyer, that's for sure. When I was tapered, I could finish my 2-fly really well, but there were so many times in season that was not pretty at the end.
Yeah. And I think we can all relate to that. That last 50, I'm sure, has crept up on all of us at one point or another. So what drew you to Northwestern? You were a head coach at Tulane, again, 5 seasons, and then you joined Coach Kip at Northwestern. What was the pull for you there?
Yeah, so that was a point in my career where I was kind of like, look, I'm either gonna stay and make a career of coaching women and do that to the best of my abilities, or I was at literally a crossroads or I start working toward this big goal and dream of mine to coach a combined program and to get back to coaching men and women together and what that might look like. And I also had a desire to do that at the top level, so in the Power 5 conference.
Mm.
And so that really led me to looking at Northwestern. And I wasn't, to be honest, as a head coach, you don't really want to go back to working for just anybody, right? You want to make sure that boss is going to be like the boss that really continues to allow you to grow and challenges you and supports you and gives you a voice on the team as well. And so in talking with Jeremy, we had a great conversation, and I just got this feeling of this would be really fun. This would be really great to work with this man. And I saw completely the vision he had for Northwestern. I was like, we are in. Yes, yes, yes. And so all of those things combined, not to mention it's closer to home for me. Like that was just icing on the cake. And, but yeah, it was like a no brainer for me in some ways in wanting to enhance my career and continue on this path.
Yeah. And did that play, for the last 2 seasons, did that play out kind of how you thought it might?
Yeah, I almost more so. I think getting back to coaching a combined program, it just reminded me how fun it is on deck, and the liveliness that the guys can add to the team is really fun. And then the like deep connections you can have with the women's team is like incredibly fulfilling. And the coaching staff that we had was just if we looked like we were having fun, there was no smoke and mirrors about that. We were having a darn good time. and just like my love for coaching was like reignited, and it was just really positive. Working at Northwestern is a real honor too. Like this athletic department is second to none, completely second to none. And I really believe that. And it's a really neat program to be a part of. And the student athletes are amazing. They inspire me every single day. They challenge me in ways that I need to be challenged as a coach. And I'm in love with working with them. It's a really cool experience.
I mean, I know when I came down for practice and pancakes with y'all, I mean, that was, you guys were having a hoot and a half, and it was very cool to get to document and to get to be a part of. The pancakes that Kip made were second to none for sure. Um, and so you went from an all women's team to a combined program. Are you still you talked about just knowing your athletes and kind of coaching the men and the women, what giving them what they need. How did you kind of rediscover how to do that with the addition of the men's team when you got to Northwestern?
Well, honestly, when I coach, I utilize my strengths that I have in my own toolbox that I've built over the years. And my toolbox includes building relationships and just learning about people. And so getting to work on that, with the new team and learning who they are as individuals was an experience that allowed me to be a better coach for them. Um, and I think, I don't know, that's a really good question. I don't know exactly how to define what that was or how that happened, but really just for me it was about building the relationships and working with that. We always, obviously I had a lot to learn, like before, from recruiting at Virginia to now recruiting now. That was like a difference of what, almost 10 years. So I had to learn what was fast on the men's side, right? And, just doing my research of like the Big Ten results and the NCAA results and learning what's fast and getting to recruit our student athletes that are phenomenal. It's been neat.
So is 2 years in, you become the director, the head coach. Is that something that you had expected? I mean, that's a dream come true, I'm guessing, pretty quickly, after your time at Tulane.
Yeah, it's no, I did not expect this. I did not expect this at all. I it's serendipitous. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And people are asking me a lot about that lately. It's like, did you know that this was, and it's like, no, I had no idea. I thought Jeremy was going to be here, like forever. Right. And so, and he had a great opportunity, at USC. And so I'm really happy for him. And, it's, gosh, no, I didn't expect it. It is a dream. It's literally a dream come true for me because looking from the outside in at Northwestern and thinking, wow, that's a great program. It has a lot of potential. We can really work with this. And then actually living it out for 2 years and just reaffirming everything that I know about Northwestern to be true. Like, it is, like I said, second to none. It's just the leadership of our athletic department and Dr. Phillips and his executive team that he's built around himself is just phenomenal. And they lead in a way that is like, it makes you so inspired to do great things. And the coaches at Northwestern, like, in the first 24 hours, I got texts from each and every one of them. In fact, the football coach was probably the first coach to text me congratulations. And it's a family here. It's so much like a family. And that is something that I've always wanted. And it's just so surreal that here I am now talking to you today.
Yeah. So now you're not only one of 6 female head coaches in the Power Five, but you're also one of 2 female head coaches for a combined program. And I just talked to Jordan Wolfram last month or two ago, recently, about her first season at UCLA, and I think it's kind of funny that she came from combined program to head coach an all women's team. You came from an all women's team to eventually, to work with a combined program and now lead them. What is the significance of you being one of the few female head coaches now to you?
I feel a lot of things about that. One, I think it's sad that those numbers are so poor. I'm really inspired to start the change of that. I really want this to not be such a headline, I think, in the future years. I really want to bring a change of the narrative of college swimming and diving. And I think we're on the way. I really do believe it. I have a lot of great colleagues in my female coaches that I want to continue to inspire, hopefully, in whatever way I can. And um, I'm hoping that this is just the start. I'm hoping that there's a lot more. And to be honest, I carry this with great honor and great responsibility. I really do know my responsibility as a woman in this role. And I don't want to let anybody down. I'm super motivated to just go above and beyond any expectation. And that's me in general. Like, I grew up middle child, so I'm constantly trying to like be better and be better.
Sure.
and so
Yeah.
and so I'm just, this is the start, and I would love for this narrative to continue to change. And it's so much less about gender. I think it's, like I said, it's more about just knowing your student athletes and working with the student athletes. And every day you just try and be 1% better.
Yeah. And that's one reason I really loved when I saw this headline, because again, I've seen you interact with the athletes at Northwestern, and I can't imagine how much of a shock it is to, within a month lose your head coach and then like have a new head coach. And so, you've come into a situation before where you were the head coach and you didn't know the student athletes. How much of an advantage is it, or what were your thoughts on now being a head coach of all athletes that you are very familiar with?
It's a lovely experience. I'm not gonna lie. It's really nice. I think we had worked really hard as a previous staff to build the program up and to get the culture where we really wanted it to be, where we knew it could be. And we made some massive steps this past year. And so honestly, like, it's a credit to this smoother transition. It's a credit to all of us from the previous staff, and in moving forward, that it was just a continuity, was just a sense of I don't know what the right word would be, but there needed to be a sense of continuity, especially in this time. Like, we're in the COVID times. There's so much uncertainty, and to throw a new coach into the mix with and trying to build relationships via Zoom, like, this stuff just, it sucks. It's hard. So I think that there was some value there that our administration saw, but I just am really grateful for the opportunity to lead and to have already built up some relationships and now become the head coach. It makes it for a little bit smoother transition, that's for sure, for our student athletes. And then I got Andy and Jake, on staff too here, and it's just been lovely to welcome us now three to be part of like leading this program, and the student athletes are really excited about that.
Yeah. I I can imagine that they are. That sounds like a really great opportunity and really great for both you and them. So obviously we are in COVID times, which doesn't make the transition easier, I'm sure. But how have you handled that transition, so far in terms of interacting with the athletes once you found out, you're the new head honcho?
Yeah, it was important for us to obviously be the first to tell the team, and we included our incoming class with that, and we also included our 21 verbal commitments with that as well. So we got on the Zoom call, and our athletic director went through kind of more of the process of how he came to naming me the director. And it was cool. Like, it's also kind of like, it's Zoom, so it can only be so cool in that. But they were like, I think they were at some point just like, now we know, and now there's a sense of certainty in this crazy uncertain time. And like I said, I think it was like a little bit of like okay, good, let's move forward. And yeah, and it was great. It was cool to like share that with the incoming class too, and their families. We invited their parents to be part of that call, and with the 21 verbal commitments, it was a really neat experience. And as a staff, we had worked really hard to recruit really well over the last few years, and it only reaffirmed that like we did it the right way. We built the relationships. We weren't just, doing smoke and mirrors. We really do care about those recruits of ours that are soon to be part of our team, and they're really excited for us too.
Yeah. So let's bring it to present day. What is the team's status? Are you guys able to train at all? Are you back in the water? How are you guys planning for the fall? Do you even know if you're going to have school yet? Give us the update.
All right. So let's see. The update is that everybody is still in their respective homes around the country, around the world, actually. And it's a various amounts of them are having some pool space, some lake space, some ocean space. They're just making it work, and they're incredible in that way. Yeah, it's challenging. There's all sorts of different openings and then not openings, and we're working with a phase with our university to bring back our student athletes, but we want to do so safely. And it's not just about, it's about so much more than just like getting back to train. It's about getting back to like be a team, right? But to do so safely it's challenging. There's so many X factors in keeping our student athletes safe, and we just have to prioritize that right now. And so right now we are, our pool isn't open yet. There's certain stipulations that our university has to go through to becoming open in a sense, but we're working on that. We've got some different plans in place that hopefully can get some traction. But again, safety is the main concern right now, and we're going to do that the right way. We're always a university that I'm really proud of them in the way that they've really prioritized the safety.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, I guess my last question would be, you've had experiences as a head coach, and you've had experience coaching combined programs. And so I'm guessing you kind of know what to expect. And I think you probably know what you'd like to see moving forward. Do you have, and who knows if these will be you'll be able to carry these out this year, this season, whatever. But when you found out you're going to be the head coach, the director, did you have initial thoughts of like, all right, this is how I want, the Katie Robinson era to begin. This is kind of the changes I want to make.
Yeah, a little bit around how all of us coaches are, how we all work, together in symphony to create a better team. So I want to rearrange that a little bit and have a little bit more autonomy from our coaches in creating training plans. And so I've talked with Andy and Jake about that, and they're excited about that change. Also, as far as goals go, our goals are very much the same. Like we want to keep moving up in the Big Ten. We want to be, top 10 on any given year in the NCAA. We really want to just keep fighting for that. Also, we want to keep fighting for our student athletes to have, really see out their Olympic dreams and their international competition dreams that they have. And we've got a beautiful array of swimmers from all sorts of areas of the world, and so we want to help them reach their goals that they have for themselves too internationally. And I hope I answered that question completely, but we're excited about the future. We think that there's a lot that can be improved upon. I think we got to keep recruiting. We definitely have to keep recruiting really hungry, and that's something that we've been doing the last week. As for the 2022 class, we were able to start connecting with them last week, and that's been really fun. It's been really awesome. In fact, to be honest, like now that we're recruiting in this quarantine time, I've just started FaceTiming a lot more with the recruits, because that's what I do to call our student athletes. So I'm like, oh, FaceTime, like it's a no-brainer for me. And then they're like, oh, hi, and I'm like, oh, sorry, is this okay? And then, and then we laugh, and then it's fun, and we have a great conversation. So it's going really well.
Nice. Well, Katie, any closing thoughts you'd like to share?
Well, I'm super grateful for you having me on the show today. And to our team, I'm just like, I encourage you to stay hungry and stay stay chomping at the bit for our future and getting back in and getting back together again. I know you all are excited for that. So me too. And let's see, for our recruits that we're recruiting, I'm excited to talk to you, excited to keep learning more about you and keep sharing more about our program. I really believe our program is one that is going to be second to none, with being a top 10 academic program and hopefully in the next few years, a top 10 athletic program, and just really pumped for the future.
Awesome. Well, Katie, thank you so much for talking to me and taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been real. Thanks a lot.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.